You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah, I mean,
Was it impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
We're glad to be with you this morning as we speak some sports heading into this long weekend. Boy, what a strange couple of weekends in terms of the holidays. I feel like now, maybe it's just we've had a lot going on at our house, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just like everybody. But it feels like last weekend was like 3 weeks ago now.
It really does.
You know, it feels
Yes.
like, this time a week ago, the anticipation of Christmas. And I mean, it was cold as all get out.
That is what
I mean, and you're just trying to survive. And then you're trying to make sure that everything's, quote, perfect, for Christmas. And, for you, I mean, you got brand new little girl. And for us, our girls are grown and gone. So we were trying to, get everybody here, or one here. We eventually got her here, but we hadn't had everybody in the house probably in about 4 years. So that was cool to be able to do that. But now it seems like, God, it was like 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
New Year's resolutions. Do you do much of that?
No, not usually.
Okay.
Not. It's not a big New Year's resolution guy. I'm the type. I'll do like a Tuesday resolution. Like if I decide I'm just gonna change something or do something different, I just do it. Like that's I don't need the new year to do it.
Goals? Do you write down goals?
I did when I was coaching, but I don't anymore.
For yourself or for your team?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. Probably for the last 5-6 years, I've made it a point of emphasis of writing down goals, maybe even longer than that.
Yeah.
And since I started doing that, and I guess they always tell you this, Coach Beadles, that when you write down goals and you commit yourself to them, and then you extend yourself out a little bit, it's amazing how you achieve them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason we always had our teams do it, our players do it, because there is something to writing it down, and like we'd keep them and have them. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's mental or psychological or what, but there's definitely something to it.
So I haven't done my 2023 goals yet, but and then what I'll do, I had some initiatives this past year too about staying in my own lane and trying not to repeat myself and things along those lines, which those are subjective. Yeah. Those are not, hey, did you do this?
Right.
And so, and I'll keep track of when I achieved it. Mm-hmm. Like I'll write the date down and like, okay, achieved this on March the 31st or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have some low hanging fruit goals that I've had on my sheet for years that I just, for whatever reason, I've either been reluctant to go do it. And one of them is just the simple thing of just getting my eyes checked.
Oh yeah.
it's like, cause I wear readers and
right.
I need to be more diligent about that. So I don't know. We'll see if I still have today and tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
But tomorrow I got basketball, so that's
gonna be tough.
That's gonna be tough. This from the H Flooring Center chat line, and you alluded to this yesterday. I heard that there were several schools kicking the tires on Coach Joey McGuire here recently.
Yeah.
The reason for the extension.
Yep.
These schools still have their head coaches, but if Coach McGuire had interest, they were firing their head coach to go get CJM. But thankfully, Kirby blocked that.
Yeah, that was the rumor from several people.
Like Big 12 schools or
Power 5 is what I was told.
Okay.
Power 5. Because when I first heard that, I started thinking about the openings and like Purdue, like those openings just didn't make sense to me. And then it was this wasn't open schools. It was schools that wanted to be open, for the right guy, basically.
Right.
So then it's just kind of impossible to predict. And maybe that's just rumor, but I don't think that's hard to believe, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. I'd heard like 2 years ago when K-State was in town that there was discussion amongst the K-State people to hire him and fire Chris Kleiman.
Oh, really? Wow.
And that there may have even been a meeting that took place between him. This is before he was here, right?
Yeah.
He was at Baylor.
Yeah.
And that maybe if K-State had lost that game to us that day, that they would have made a change.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of like I thought of that game, and the people I talked to is kind of the loser leaves town, coaching wise. You know, like, and a lot of it might have depended, especially for Wells, on how it went. But the fact that you should have won that game and didn't, and that kind of adds
the second half. Right?
Yeah, it kind of adds to the list of those types of games. And he obviously lost his job. That was he didn't lose his job after that game, but that was the nail in the coffin.
He did, because it was that Monday after that game.
That's right. Yes. Because I was thinking TCU was probably when he lost his job, and then the Kansas State game was
the only surprise to me was that it took till Monday.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
And I really thought that we were going to see one right after that game.
Yeah, I did too. And when we didn't, I thought, well, I guess next year.
And then you think about this. So what if we had scored a field goal or a touchdown in the second half of that game and eked it out and had become bowl eligible? Yeah. You would not have the momentum that you have right now. I mean, a lot of his players have certainly contributed to the cause. There's no question.
He knew how to evaluate talent, and get them here.
And who knows? Maybe he could have gotten over the hump. I just don't think you would be sitting here with this. Because look, if they were to put season tickets on sale today, and who knows, maybe they will next week or whatever, I think the renewal would be huge, right?
Yeah.
They're going to put out the basic renewal, renew your season tickets, blah, blah, blah. And then, they'll open it up for new. I think that you'll probably get back to some pretty high numbers in terms of season tickets for next year, because one of the things that they made it this past year, and this was a Jamie point that he made at the start of the season, is I just want it to be fun again.
Yes, exactly. Before this year, I knew plenty of people who had given up their season tickets under Wells and just the idea of McGuire brought them back. And so now we have tangible, like, hey, this is fun. He does win. Yeah, you're right.
You beat Oklahoma. You beat Texas. If you weren't there, you missed out.
Yep.
And let's face it. I don't care where you are and what town you live in. You don't want to miss the events, right?
Yeah.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right.
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
It is December 30th, 2022. It's the final Friday of 2022. Here with us today in sports history is Jeff McGuire.
Going to start in 1926. This story feels oddly familiar. The Chicago Tribune reports that the Tigers threw a 4-game series to the White Sox in 1917 to help Chicago win the pennant. The reports were never substantiated. So let me get this straight. Something that was said to a newspaper wasn't necessarily true.
I like it.
1973, AFC Championship game took place at the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Dolphins beat the Raiders 27-10. Also, the NFC Championship took place at Texas Stadium. Vikings beat the Cowboys 27-10. Same score, 2 games.
That set up a back-to-back Super Bowl win then for the Miami Dolphins. And they have not won since.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
For shame.
Yeah.
They should just fold up.
How crazy is that? How the Cowboys struggled like the Raiders did to win Super Bowls. I mean, they won before the Raiders did. The Raiders, would be in that championship game and just find ways to lose. And then the Cowboys couldn't defend home field.
Yeah.
1981, Wayne Gretzky scores 5 goals and an assist in Edmonton's 7-5 win over Philadelphia. Gives Gretzky 50 goals in 39 games, the fastest 50 in 50 in NHL history. Also sets an NHL record with a 15-game assist streak.
It's like I saw there was a kind of a big deal that Ovechkin got to 800 goals recently, and he's still 200 behind Gretzky.
Yeah,
like, it's just wild to me. Like the stats are just hard to believe.
There's a reason he is the great one,
right? Yeah, and then you see stuff like that. It's like wow.
There's arguments for who's the best baseball player of all time, who's the best football player of all time, who's the best. Everyone says when you're talking about hockey,
no argument.
Wayne Gretzky, end of conversation.
Yeah, right. Start there with number 2 behind him.
Yep.
2008, NFL head coach Mike Shanahan is fired by the Denver Broncos.
Well, they'd probably like to have him today. I mean, he's old now, but I mean, man, they're struggling.
That's a good. I don't know if we were talking about NFL yesterday, but for my money, Kyle Shanahan, best coach in the NFL right now.
What?
Yeah. So that's a coaching family right there. A lot of times that doesn't necessarily work out. Like the son is kind of a result of nepotism more than anything. But
sure,
Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing.
I don't know if I don't think he's the best coach.
Maybe my preference.
I think you could put Andy Reid in San Francisco and they would be exponentially better. And if you had Kyle Shanahan in Kansas City, there would be disappointment.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know.
I think you could put Andy Reid in Cleveland and they would be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Andy Reid is awesome. Like, he's probably number 2. I just like what Shanahan does. And I think if you flipped them, they would look totally different and still be successful. Like, San Francisco would still be successful and Kansas City would still be successful.
Of course, it helps that Andy Reid has Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. It's hard to separate.
No, it's hard. That's right. It's hard to get beyond that.
Yeah, funny you mentioned him.
Okay.
2018, Patrick Mahomes becomes only the second quarterback in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns during the Chiefs' 35-3 win over the Raiders. He achieves both marks with a third quarter 89-yard touchdown pass to DeMarcus Robinson. And in 2020, San Antonio assistant Becky Hammond becomes the first female to coach an NBA team after Spurs head coach Greg Popovich is ejected in a 121-107 loss to the LA Lakers.
I think when that happened, there were rumors that he did that on purpose so she could get that.
Pop do something on purpose? No.
Yeah, I think he orchestrates everything, right?
Yeah. She's Las Vegas Aces, I think, head coach now.
I think she's still on staff in San Antonio, too.
Oh, both?
I think she's doing both.
Oh, because their seasons don't. That's right.
They don't overlap.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because the Mavericks have that same situation with one of their assistants. Yeah, I saw like when she got hired by the Aces, there were players coming out like, why, like salary comparisons.
Yeah.
It's like, why is this coach making? And then she goes and immediately wins the championship. It's like she might know what she's doing. That money might be well spent.
She knows how to coach.
Yeah.
There's no argument.
Yeah.
It's National Baking Soda Day.
Nice.
I guess, everything deserves a day.
Sure. Baking soda is a big player in the Beatles household.
It's a fine ingredient.
Yeah.
And a required ingredient in a lot of different things. Just not sure it's worthy of a day.
Are you the cook or is your wife the cook?
Both. She does 90% of the cooking, but I can do it and I will do it if I need to.
Do you have a specialty?
I can cook anything. I cannot bake a single thing.
Okay.
So like if it's like a recipe, and I don't know, I've got, and she always laughs. Like I don't know, like I can follow a recipe, but I'll add stuff, and I'll just kind of, it's more of It's more of like a suggestion list than a recipe, and I can kind of make it work and throw things together, add things that aren't on there to make it taste good, which is why apparently I'm not a good baker. It's because when you bake, you have to follow that recipe exactly.
There's a reason that's the way it's set up.
So I can cook, can't bake, but she does most of the cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, LeBron James, 38. Tiger Woods, 47. Tyrese Gibson, 44. Carson Wentz, 30. And Matt Lauer is 65.
Boy, has he dropped off the face of the earth.
A little bit. And on this day in 1922, in post-revolutionary Russia, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics is established. Also known as the Soviet Union, the new communist state was the successor to the Russian Empire and the first country in the world to be based on the Marxist socialism. And that is this day in sports history.
All right, we will march on. Da, 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 da. You know, if you were in Russia, they would be playing that. The da 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 da.
That's very much the Imperial March.
Yeah, I understand that, but
That's
I
different than the Russian national anthem?
I view that more with the Ruskies than I do with anything else.
Your morning dose of coffee and sports. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
This from the 8th Flooring Center chat line. This station is weird when Jamie Lent is gone. I don't really think
He
so.
works with Clint every day. You can't tell me that.
That is some kind of strange there. Good morning. 7:15 this morning on the Morning Drive with Taylor Beadles was in for Jamie and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. So anyway, I was talking about Dimitri Moore. So I participate in this thing called Suited Up for Success. Many people around the community do, and it's I think a wonderful event. Basically, it's helping student athletes make the transition to the business community with basically etiquette on formal dinners and social interaction. At cocktail parties, business after hours, things along those lines. And then there's they get a suit of clothes that's provided. And then for both the men and the women, and the women have a choice of, different styles, and the men's pretty traditional, coat and tie. And then there's a mock interview. Mm-hmm. So I get the list of people that I'm supposed to, interview, and it just happened that Dimitri Moore was one of them. And I'd met him at one of the events. We just interacted, and then just showed up, just random, showed up that I was going to interview him. Well, this event was like the Wednesday or Thursday before the Iowa State game, and look, their focus was on beating Iowa State. So for whatever reason, he wasn't able to make it that night. But of all the people that I was supposed to interview, the 3 or 4 that I was supposed to talk to, I think it was 3, his resume came through. And it's frankly one of the most impressive college resumes that I've seen.
Yeah.
This is a young man that went to Vanderbilt. That's not the easiest school to get into.
No.
And he has a Bachelor of Arts from Vanderbilt. He did go to Missouri State and got a graduate certificate in professional studies. But it lists all the things that he had done, mm-hmm. In addition to his volunteer service and which includes things here in Lubbock. He was all SEC academic honor roll 2017, 18, 19, and 20. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 2020 Butkus Award nomination a recipient, but then also had participated in a number of different things. Anyway, the point is, look, as you well know, things happen in scrums. But for Lane Kiffin to say what he said about Dimitri Moore and to accuse him of uttering a racial slur when he didn't hear it and doesn't have firsthand knowledge of it from one of his guys, then I think it's irresponsible for a head coach to do that. I don't think he would have done that. You made this point yesterday if they'd have won.
There's no way.
Do guys get twisted or what in those scrums? Sure. The things happen, like getting punched in the midsection, probably. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably, and you could probably speak to this, probably pretty hard to spit at somebody when you've got a mouthpiece in, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they could get the job done if they wanted to. And that one, and that was, it was like a big altercation, like a big shoving match. And, Kiffin, and I thought this at the time, but since there's been videos of other angles, Kiffin was like, they got the number 11s wrong. My number 11 wasn't involved. Well, there were some people on Twitter who found, like I said, other angles. His number 11 was involved in the shoving match, so they may not have even gotten the wrong number 11. So yeah, I mean, it was a lie, an exaggeration, a deflection from the beginning, and I'm glad that McGuire and Dimitri Moore didn't let it stand.
So if Lane Kiffin were smart, and I don't know that he is this smart, he'd let this die now.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he will. We won't hear anything else about it, which is honestly, is also kind of sad because he kind of, I mean, in my opinion, he should be held accountable for something like this. And I mean, just in the sense of apologizing. Like, I don't need him to, lose his job or be fined or anything like that, but there should be like, in the heat of the moment, I may have accused a Tech player of something that I didn't have the full information on, and I apologize, or something like that. But to be able to just say that with and it be over and no really repercussions, that's annoying to me.
Yeah. Jay wrote in, Lane Kiffin es un chismosa. Spreading of gossip. Yeah, it was not good.
Nope. And it, to me too, is something like this. I've seen a couple people post it. I mean, Lane Kiffin kind of took the playbook of Texas and OU and Texas A&M when we would play them of, if you lose to Texas Tech, we'll deflect by talking about class. And I hate nothing more than class talk. Like, oh, that's not classy. This is classy. That's so classy. Oh, they like I hate that stuff. But also, being a Tech fan as long as I have and going there, it's like you hear all the rumors of that most, frozen, batteries and frozen tortilla, whatever, and it's the typical play of the loser to Texas Tech to deflect on to classlessness. Mm-hmm. And that was just the playbook that Kiffin used. And I'm glad that we as a collective university with McGuire and Dimitri Moore aren't letting that just kind of go unchecked.
Yeah, I'm glad we're hitting back. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad we're hitting back. We get this. His number 11 even pushed a ref in the back, which is an immediate personal foul penalty.
Yeah. And like I said, the broadcast was weird. We missed a lot of reviews we should have had, and that was one of them. They didn't show a lot of those angles.
Why do you think that is?
The broadcast?
No.
Oh.
Like with the officials, I mean, I think they just kind of mailed it in.
It felt that way, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. There were spots on both sides of the ball that was like, I don't think he got to that point, but they kind of just let it happen. It was a weird crew, a lot of different. Like, I do think Tech got some beneficial calls. They missed the face mask in the backfield. It was absolutely pass interference on their 2-point conversion play. Like, there was several like that, but they were bad and weird and just inconsistent. The fact that first targeting wasn't reviewed in today's college football is mind blowing to me. And that's another thing with Kiffin is, I don't necessarily think he's teaching his players to do that kind of thing, but you can see the lack of discipline in that program. And I even saw Ole Miss fans saying this, and to basically should have been 3 players kicked out for targeting. That he's got his own issues over there, because like I said, I don't think he's necessarily coaching dirty plays, but if you're not coaching the opposite, like if you're not telling them to not hit that way, then you basically are. You're
basically allowing it. This penalty occurred with Ole Miss's drive that started at the 13:20 mark of the fourth quarter. And as a result, because there was a fumble on the play, that's what you have to remember. There was a fumble on the play, and at the end of the play, there was a penalty for a personal foul, which advanced the ball from the Tech 11 to the Tech 26 and gave the Red Raiders a first down. And then Tech starts that drive with 12:03 to go to the game, and it culminates with a Trey Wolf field goal for 26 yards.
Yep. Yeah, because there was 2 personal fouls. Stacked on top of each other. Yeah, that was a big, and that was when Twitter kind of collectively was okay. Ole Miss is losing it. They're not only losing the game now, they're losing their heads too. This is over.
And that made it 35-13. 7:24 this morning here on the morning drive.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
Okay, so I thought this would be a good time to ask this, considering we're kind of fresh off the football season, maybe on a little bit of a high. So if you could take one area of improvement from this football season to next football season, what would it be? So basically, maybe I didn't ask that right. Just going into next year, I told you this improved from this football team to next year's football team. And, I could just tell you right off the bat, this is going to get better. And that's going to equal wins or whatever. What would that be? It could be a stat, could be a player, could be any kind of number, just general feel. It's pretty open-ended. Just
Well, it is. Because there's several things that are running through my mind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I thought this might be a good one, because I'm interested in, while y'all are thinking, I'll give you mine. So turnovers is kind of the easy one to me, because your offense turned it over a lot and your defense, for as good as it was, didn't force a ton. And they did, in the bowl game, they forced 5. But you threw a bunch of interceptions, you gave the ball away a ton, and you finished for finishing 8-5 and having the negative turnover differential that you did is another pretty incredible thing about this season. So that's kind of the obvious one, but it was the first one that came to my mind. The only other nitpicky one that I could think of is Football Outsiders, I really enjoy their analytics, and they have a busted drive rate, which is basically just the percentage of opponent drives that gain 0 or negative yards. So basically, you're going out there. And
you're really in the weeds now.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, I know. But the Tech defense wasn't very good at that. It was they were very bend, don't break, which is good, but it would also be, like I said, this is nitpicky. It'd also be good to see them kind of, really just flex their muscles and say, like, this is going to be a 3-and-out drive and you're going to be feeling bad about yourself. But like I said, so I gave you an obvious one and a pretty in the weeds one to give you some time to think there.
Jeff, do you have an immediate thought?
I'm getting the actual number, or at least looking for it as we...
okay, I'll give you mine then.
But it's regarding your passing game.
Okay.
And you averaged 181 yards per game.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
181.
Yeah.
Passing.
Yep.
If you were to tell me that was 281 next year, that would tell me that your receivers are catching more balls.
Yeah, you're more explosive.
Or just more consistent.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of times you were moving the chains, but you weren't like... This was not the air raid style of passing offense we've seen, and it's not even like you were averaging 300 yards rushing either. You were only at 136. That number's fine to me on a per game basis, but the 181 seems ultra low.
Yeah, it does. I'm kind of shocked by that.
I and this is going to be subjective. I don't have a specific number for you. I just want you to be better on first and second down, so that you're not third and 5 or more, so that you're trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to get on third down so we can go for it on fourth down?
Yes.
I would love for you to be
that's a great one.
More efficient on first and second down, so you're better.
Yep.
You have a better opportunity to convert on third down as opposed to setting yourself up to go for it on fourth. I think you put too much stress on your offense when you're doing that.
Yes. Yeah. And this is another one that I thought of too, is just explosiveness in general offensively, Kitley basically had to call a perfect game, because very rarely were you going to be able to call a play and have somebody make a guy miss and go to the house. It was like he had to be very meticulous and particular about the plays he called, when he called them, because if he makes one wrong move and Tech ends up behind the chains, you're probably punting, because you did not have that game breaking playmaker. And I think that goes to your point of, you almost felt like they were it's kind of old school, almost like we're going to be a run heavy triple option type team where it's like just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Like that. It didn't look like that, but a lot of times it was, we're going to run it on 3rd and 8, because then we have a better chance of getting a 4th and 2 than we have a 3rd and 8, which is not something I feel like we're used to around here. We're used to offenses that can gain 8 yards, but this year just wasn't capable of that due to personnel. So that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, it'd be stop playing for 4th down and just move the chains is a pretty good one. I like it.
Somebody says this: I wish we utilized our tight ends more. I think that goes back to the one that's right before that, offensive line improvement. I think if your offensive line is improved, you don't have to use your tight ends as much to block.
Yes, that is true. And like you can use Teeter as kind of like when you're trying to ice a game, you bring Teeter in and that we're going to have some unique running schemes. We're going to use him, and especially since he's coming back next year, use him in ways, added that extra blocker. But I mean, Tharp and Cup are they're matchup nightmares. And
is Cup a disappointment this year, or are we not looking at it like a coach would look at it and go, hey, we were having to do other things with him, so his pass receiving production took a hit because we needed him to do other things.
Yeah, I don't think he was a disappointment, because I don't really think it was his fault, his lack of production, because when he was used, he was incredible. I mean, I think of the Texas game, obviously the Iowa State game, he has he mosses that guy in the end zone basically for the win. But it was like you said, it was more a necessity for him to stay in and help the run game and block than it was. He was almost a luxury in the passing game. And hopefully next year it won't be a luxury. It'll be a part of the offense.
I still want Mason Tharp to be a force. I mean, the guy's 6'9".
Yeah.
He could be Gronk, right?
Yes. With him, can he block consistently enough to where it's not obvious what Tech is doing when he's out there?
Or
I think
Travis,
is the question.
And maybe Travis Kelce too.
That would be great too.
Yeah.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Thank you for being with us. With Taylor Beadles is in for Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We had a couple questions about your attire today. Your stocking cap.
Yes.
Are you a guy that always has to have a hat on?
Yeah, pretty much. Unless I'm at work or like school.
Well, you're at work. I mean, you're being paid to be here. I mean, this is not it's not a volunteer effort today.
School. I mean, especially this early.
Do you think if you walked into a bank today that they would have their hand on the alarm?
Surely not. Sure. I got a button-down shirt on.
You got the long hair, the glasses, the black stocking cap.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I could see. Yes. My wife posted a picture, some social media site that I was in the background of, and someone commented that I looked like I just robbed a 7-Eleven. Yeah. Because I basically wore this exact thing to meet with my professors yesterday. A couple of my professors. They didn't have a problem.
Were they listening yesterday, or are they even aware that this radio station exists?
They are aware because I told them about it. Okay. And one of my professors came to one of the broadcasts that pregame at the stadium. Uh-huh. So they are aware.
Okay.
Yes.
Usually people of high academic acclaim are somewhat unaware of
Oh yeah.
all the effort that we put into this thing.
Yes.
Although Dr. Skubinik is he's a frequent listener of this fine radio station.
That's good.
He and his wife.
Yeah.
So, we're happy to have him. I got a text from a buddy of mine who said it must be cold in the studio. It's not cold today. It's actually comfortable today. Anyway, because somebody had asked this, Beatles, are you hitchhiking your way across America after this? You look like a quintessential karaoke. I don't know what that is. Kerouac.
My favorite author.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so that's a friend, obviously, then, right?
I have discussed.
Which is a compliment. This person says, which is a compliment, because that's good, because I don't know who Kerouac is.
Yeah, he's a beat writer. He's one of my
a beat writer.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, he was a beat generation writer. He doesn't follow a team and write on the beat. Not that type of beat. But yeah, I've talked about him being my favorite writer on here. But see, the thing is this is not your typical beanie. It doesn't cover my ears.
No, it doesn't.
So it's not really keeping me that warm.
It's not necessarily a skull cap either.
No, I believe this is called a watchman's cap.
Yeah, you look, like I said, you kind of look like you have other ulterior motives today.
You get me up at 5:30. There's no telling. Just good thing I have pants on. That's all I'll say.
We're happy about that. Lady Raiders open up their Big 12 play tomorrow. They'll take on Iowa State. Iowa State's one of the best teams in the conference. They're known for hitting threes. They'll hit about 10 a game. They take care of the basketball. They get to the free throw line. Very disciplined team. They have familiar names. And so this will be, for the women too, a true test to begin Big 12 play. Probably the team that gave you amongst the stiffest competition would have been Colorado. Had to come back to win that game on November the 16th. So that's been a month and, changed about 6-7 weeks ago. Won 86-85. That was coming off of a loss to Jackson State. That was disappointing. That was the third game of the season and your only loss. So they're 12-1 heading into the Big 12. And then next week, they have 2 road games, playing at KU on Wednesday, January the 4th, and then going to TCU a week from tomorrow for a 5 o'clock tilt against Texas Christian. They're at Schulmeyer. Then they come home on Wednesday the 11th to face Oklahoma. So I'll be curious to see how they do against Iowa State. Iowa State's not played in 13 days. Mm-hmm. And we know what they're gonna bring. They're gonna try to, shoot from the outside. They're gonna play some pressure basketball. I mean, and I think one thing that the Tech would like to do is they'd like to take care of the basketball better.
Yes, for sure.
And they did that in their last home game. They did a better job of that against Mississippi Valley State. And I think the distribution of the scoring has been good. Can you keep people from getting into foul trouble, Ella Tofayono? And can you get a few more minutes out of Jazz Lewis? Mm-hmm. She's like the third leading scorer and 8th in minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a challenge for them. And then Katie Farrell's just been as advertised.
Yeah.
Very much a scrapper. Assists, steals, rebounds, and basically sets the tone for the team on the court. So we'll have it for you tomorrow at 1:30. The tip at 2. I got United Supermarkets Arena.
I'm not very well versed in Lady Raider basketball, so I've been wondering a few things.
Okay.
What's the ceiling for this team?
Man, I'm just going to be flat out honest and say, hey, if you could get 5-6 wins in the Big 12, I think that would be huge. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they would tell you we want to win them all, right? That's your standard.
Yeah, they should.
But I think I think if you could get to postseason play, that would be a ceiling for this team.
Yeah.
So postseason play at this point in time is you're going to have to win 5 or 6 games in the Big 12, probably to get to the WNIT, because you're going to play 18 more games, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go, let's just say you go 5 and 5 and 12, 5 and 13. Is that right? 6 and 12. So then that would put you at 18 and 12 for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to be borderline NCAA team.
Yeah.
At that.
Yeah.
So I think getting to postseason play would be where they really want to get to. Because then that shows progress.
Mm-hmm.
That shows progress in recruiting.
Right.
It shows progress to your fans. I mean, the fans have been there. I mean, you're averaging 3,000 to 4,000 a game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been and it's been entertaining, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah, it seems that way. I've watched highlights and clips, and it has seemed fun. And like you said, especially the home, like you can feel the crowd in those clips too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Chuck, putting you on the spot now.
Five wins. 5?
5 wins. Who are the 2 sweeps?
Oh, man. Well,
or do you get a sweep?
I don't know if you get a sweep. I don't know.
So 5 home wins then.
Yeah, I don't know if you get it. So I'm going to say if you do that, I'm going to say TCU, Oklahoma, KU, K-State. How many is that?
4.
4. And then you're going to have to maybe Oklahoma State because they have a changing coach. And then, Texas, they'll be passionate against Texas. With what happened going down there last year and winning.
Yeah.
And then winning on the road at Oklahoma last year.
Yeah.
And then can you steal one? I mean, who knows? You might be able to, if you could steal, like if you could start the season 1-1, like if you won tomorrow, that'd just be huge.
Yeah.
That'd be huge. And then if you went to Lawrence and won, I mean, this is a much improved KU team. They're coming off of a tournament appearance. They're athletic. They're big. They've shot the ball well. But that atmosphere won't be what usually the atmosphere is here for a women's basketball game. Now they may have improved it a little bit because when we were there last year, it was okay. But we're talking the Wednesday after, New Year's.
Heck, I don't think the men's game will be very rambunctious, unless it's Tech people.
On Tuesday? Here?
Yeah. No, sorry. At TCU.
Oh, at TCU.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, I think it'll be Tech people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it'll be Tech
Which
people.
honestly, if Tech was in the college football playoff, I wouldn't care one iota about a conference basketball game. So I don't blame TCU people for that.
Yeah, no, it's hard to blame for that. So, like I said, the second season, or maybe even the most important part of the season, starts tomorrow for both the men and the women. We'll have all the games for you between Double T 97.3 for Texas Tech men and 107.7 Yes FM for the Lady Raiders.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.